SH embraces technology. In this episode, we debate the merits of cell phones in classes.
And did you think about cyberbullying? Don't you think it's easier to film other students in class?
See what our robotics class has to offer.
Programming is part of the future, whether we like it or not.
And meet our dedicated arts teacher, Houry Dalalian.
You're constantly thinking about students, that's how it is.
I'm Musa Tabran, and you're watching SHTV. Welcome to SHTV. I'm Musa Tabran.
And I'm Ruben Krain. In today's society, technology is used daily and is very important.
In our first segment, we'll be covering the school's differing opinions on using technology in class.
Hello! Today we're going to be talking about school before and during the pandemic. So, as we can see before, everything was done on paper, and after COVID hit, everything was more online. Technology was more incorporated in the day-to-day tasks. Secondly, homework was done on paper and assignments were handed in person in real life to the teacher. But after COVID hit, everything became more organized with Google Classroom, assignments and handing in assignments. Then we had school before the pandemic, which was done in person in real life. But obviously after COVID, we had to use other services like Google Meet and Zoom. All in all, technology became more consistent in our day-to-day tasks at school.
As a part of this year's school projects, the secondary 1 students have been given iPads to use to complete their work. We visited their class and observed the way they were using their tablets. In addition to asking the secondary 1s about their opinions on using this tool, we asked the secondary 5s if they thought it would have been beneficial for them to have this advantage.
So it motivates me more to work on a laptop or a computer because it makes my job easier, and it's way easier to do like navigate or type, and it just takes less time than writing or doing the necessary calculations to figure out something.
I think I am using technology more often in my education because we submit things on Classroom, we use Google Docs more often, we do more projects and studies that require research that goes beyond just textbooks. No, in my opinion, iPads won't change anything because first of all, we're used to doing everything on paper, and second of all, it won't change anything because everything you can do on iPads, you can also do them on paper.
Now here's the opinion from our school principal.
We do believe technology is a very important part of society, and that is why you cannot have a school without any form of technology in there. Students now need to learn how to use technology to gain whatever they need. They need to be able to use search engines, they need to be able to create things. That's why we're happy with the strides that we've made in terms of having more technology present in our students' lives. And we're going further with different projects that we're going to put forth, namely the Crea Lab, that's going to allow for our students to use technology in various creative ways. And all of this is made possible because of donations that we receive, and to make sure that our school is up to par when it comes to different aspects, one of which is technology.
The results of the survey were conducted about the opinion of students with technology in class. The question was, do you think using iPads will benefit you for educational purposes? It ended up with 77.8% agreeing and 22.2% disagreeing. We can conclude that the majority think that technology is advancing throughout time.
Nowadays, people spend too much time on their phones. A tip to reduce your screen time is to find a new hobby. This can mean a lot of different things for everyone. Some people like reading books. Some people like playing chess. Others like sports, whether it's soccer, badminton, or anything else. And if none of these sound like you, maybe participate in a play. And if not, consider assisting to one. And you never know, you might even find a brand new interest as well.
Robots are becoming an increasingly important part of today's society. Recently, the school just opened a new robotics class. Here's a look at what they do.
This year, a new program, Robotics class, was introduced to the secondary 1 and 2 classes. Let's see what robotics looks like in Surpagop.
So every day at robotic classes, our teacher gives us challenges to do. Sometimes they're easy, sometimes they're hard, and they're noted. So I have to be serious to get 100 on every challenges. And for the exams, it's the same thing as challenges, but the exam is like whatever we learn the year, it's gonna be on that subject, the exam, and it's a little bit harder than the challenges.
Also, we asked a few questions to the principal, Miss Lori, about the robotics program.
Hey everyone, so I'm here for a segment on robotics because we implemented a new course this year in secondary 1 and 2. So for me it's very important to prepare students for the future, and programming is part of the future whether we like it or not. When we go to the grocery store, we already noticed that part of the tasks have been replaced by machines, so it's very important for us to offer our students an opportunity to develop in programming as well. And so that was one of the reasons why we chose the robotics program. So it's an interesting question. As any new program, things always start off slowly. We are very happy with all of the progress that students have made up until now, and I am sure that in the coming years it's going to develop even more. Yes and no. I think that it's important to offer diversity to our students, diverse programs. That being said, it's something that would need to be studied carefully to outweigh the benefits. Sometimes students are going to want one thing, but again, we always have to have an outlook on what's best for them in the future. And so I think that if ever we were to change the program, it would be in conjunction with student surveys to make sure that it's also something that represents what they would want. So it's a very good question as well. You always have to start somewhere. So and the way that we see things in secondary 1 and 2 will give students the opportunity to develop an interest. And in higher levels, in Sec 3, 4, 5, where the program is already rigorous, we already have enriched math classes and science classes, then we can go on an interest-based approach. So that's the reason why in secondary 1 and 2 is where we decided to implement the program.
Robotics helps students develop a great skill, which is mathematical thinking at an early age.
The most simple way to reduce screen time on your phone is done by setting a screen time limit. This can be done on any Apple device, from iPhones to any MacBooks or iMacs. All you have to do is go to Settings, Screen Time, Downtime, and enable the feature. So, the next time you're spending a little bit too much time on the SHTV Instagram page, you will get an alert on your phone saying that you have reached your time limit and that the application is no longer available until the next morning.
A job in technology has a lot of rewards. We got the chance to interview someone who works in that field. Here's 5 questions with Vatché Chamlian.
Hi, my name is Vatché Chamlian. I'm an electrical engineer. I work at MPB Communications, and I'm here to answer your questions.
Describe your position.
Well, the company I work for, in a nutshell, they do lasers basically in different domains. They do lasers in medical field, they do in communications, and they do it for aerospace. What I do in particular is an embedded software that controls these lasers. Now, there are different kinds of lasers. There is what's called a visual fiber laser, which are the lasers that you see the color. It can be blue, green, red, or whatever. There are lasers that you don't see the color of the beam. Those are mainly used in telecommunications. And you have also very high power lasers. For instance, if lately you've seen the movie Don't Look Up on Netflix, you can see one of the lasers, the very high power lasers that the company I work for developed, that shoots a beam in the sky to focus the telescope. What I do is the embedded software that controls those lasers, to control the power. When there's a fiber break, for instance, to shut down the lasers for safety hazards, and mainly the overall control of the embedded software.
What would you say to those who want to pursue in this career?
Like any profession, you have the pros and cons of any profession. There's no something ideal in the world of in the industry. In my particular case, it depends on the vision you have for life, and whatever I might say as a con can be considered as an advantage, and vice versa. So what I thrive at is technical challenges all the time. So if you like having technical challenges, always something new, to learn something, and the challenges, to be out of your comfort zone, I will highly suggest to come into and pursue your career in technologies. Now, there are a lot of stress associated to it, like other professions. It's not only this profession. But in my particular case, there's tight deadlines that you have to meet, and if you don't meet those deadlines, there are penalties associated. The company has to pay a lot of money, and there's also, depending on what you're doing, there might be also some safety issues. For instance, those who are making medical equipment, where you have the hardware and embedded software, well, they treat people with that. If you're using a laser for an eye surgery, for instance, there's a lot of safety issues involved. So some people like that, to work under stress. Some people don't like it. It depends on the person. Personally, I always liked working under stress, and there have been a lot of times that you have to work very hard, work until 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and it's not for 1 or 2 days. It might go on for a while. It depends on if you like that or not. It depends on your vision of life.
Are there often times when you're under pressure due to stressful situations, and how do you deal with it?
I think I already answered that. Yes, there's often a lot of stress that happens. You have tight deadlines that you have to meet, and also there are some failures in the field that you have to deal with. Like anybody else will do, I guess, is to work very hard to resolve those issues. You have to work very late sometimes. You have to work throughout the weekends to advance the project and to meet those deadlines. And that's how you deal with it.
Discuss your most challenging engineering project to date.
You get a lot of challenges in any profession, actually. One in particular that I had was when I started in a company. They had very tight constraints hardware-wise. In other words, the software didn't fit into the memory allocated from the hardware anymore. So there were a lot of memos going around that they have to redo the hardware, which would have taken a lot of time to revamp the production process and so on. So what I had to do is, even though I wasn't asked to do it, I rewrote the whole software to make it fit inside the hardware constraints, memory and non-volatile memory. That's one of the challenges that I had.
How can using technology in schools affect their education?
That's a very good question, actually. It helps a lot, technology. And if I compare during my time when I went through the education system and what you're going through now, there's a lot of help right now. Instead of going and spending hours and hours in libraries finding the right articles when you're doing the research, photocopying them and so on, now it's so easy with the tools you have. Even just looking a word in dictionary, instead of going into dictionaries and so on, you have everything online now. A lot of research can be done online, so I think it helps enormously the education system, the technology. Actually, I'm still surprised that some people use paper at school. I think everything should be electronic, the books, essays and everything. And it's a great opportunity actually for you to embrace this technology nowadays compared to what I've been through, which is a lot of paper and books and so on. So I think technology is great for education.
Another thing that you could do to spend time off your phone is learn a new skill. Learning new skills in life is very important because not only can it develop you as a person, but it could also open new doors, new opportunities. It could help you find new passions in life, which could take you to many different places and give you many different experiences in your lifetime. If there's one thing a person can't get separated from, it's their cell phone. The presence of cell phones in class is still a heated debate. Let's explore that issue.
I think phones in class are a good idea because it's way more accessible to the students.
But don't you think it could also cause a lot of distraction? There's studies that say that students that use phone in class are really more distracted than students that don't have any access to a phone.
It can teach those students who use it in class to be way more responsible and to know when's the right time to use their phone.
Are you sure? Don't you think that during exam they'll be tempted to cheat by looking at their phone and finding answers?
Well, in the future, like for example in college, the rules are way more strict and they'll look at it. So if a responsible student, once again, knows when it's right to use their phone, when it's in what case to cheat or not, it can help them for the future and in general to become a much more responsible person.
And did you think about cyberbullying? Don't you think it's easier like to film other student in class and then put it online, and it can be like really a bad move to do for students?
The school should have put many rules against cyberbullying, so the students, if they follow the rules, they should be able to not cyberbully because of those rules put by the school.
Well, students would still be able to be suspended because of cyberbullying. There would still be more chances of cyberbullying even if there's rules, because they still have their phone in class. Don't you think if their phone are in their lockers, there's like no way of filming other students in class or filming teachers, and there will be no consequences such as being suspended?
No, like you said, they are going to be suspended. It's a rule put, so the students should know the consequences of when they do it, so they should avoid it.
It's a lot of distraction, I already said that, but it's also a lack of respect for the teachers, because a lot of times students use their cell phone while the teachers are teaching and learning new stuff for the students, so at that point, it's just a lack of respect. And even if there's rules, I feel like at the end of the day, they'll still use it, and it's still going to be for the teacher to manage all of it in class.
Well, as from a point of view of a student, it could be a way of them just trying to study even more, trying to search up a word. There's a lot of dictionaries you can find, there are a lot of sites you can search up, so it doesn't have to be in a disrespectful manner. It's just in a way like I said, it's more accessible. That's why students maybe go to their phones instead of going to books, because it's way more easy.
Okay, and have you thought about overusing their phone. Like it has a lot of consequences on their brain, their lack of sleep. If they're always on their phone all day, every day, don't you think it's going to be a worry about their development of their brain?
There should be a right schedule according to how much it can affect your brain and how much it can affect their sleeping schedule.
So I guess you have really good points about the cell phone usage in class, but I think there should be a lot of rules set by the school and make sure that all students respect those rules. And if it's that case, then I don't know why we shouldn't use cell phone in class.
Another tip to reduce your screen time is to spend time with your friends. You could go outside and do some sports instead of playing games on a device. If you're not a big fan of sports, you can always hang out to talk about life. If you find that boring, you could play board games or cards just like we did. Doing this can also make you more of a social person. Being a social person can also get you many new friends, which is good for you. The important thing to remember is that phones are virtual, life is real. Keeping your friend circle big is important because this is the best time of our life. So, we need to enjoy it as much as we can and get the best out of it instead of looking at our phone and damaging our eyes.
Technology often replaces simpler things. Let's take this opportunity to meet our art teacher, Houry Dalalian.
Hello, my name is Houry Dalalian. I'm the art teacher here in Surpagop. So I've been here, it's my 6th year actually I'm working. I was here in 2013 to replace Madame Joanne, and then I went to schools and then I came back.
What does art mean to you?
It's a form of expression. It's how you feel inside of your heart, that you bring it out on a piece of paper, on canvas, on a sculpture. It's what it is for me. Yeah.
When did you start getting into art?
I was 17 when I decided to go in fashion design. So that's when I went to La Salle College and I started studying in fashion.
What advice would you give to your younger self?
To live the moment.
When did you decide to work with students as a teacher and not work alone like a fashion designer?
I started working in the fashion field when I graduated from La Salle College. I was like back then 20 years old. I worked in the field for about 10 years. And then when I started having kids, I decided to stay home. I was a stay-at-home mom. And then I thought about it. I said, oh, maybe it's good to do a change of career. So I went back to university and I studied in Enseignement des Arts Visuels. I think that's the title of the program that I did. And I think the fact that I had kids, I was more interested in school.
How do you get ideas for your projects?
Well, you know, as an artist and as a teacher, art teacher, you always think. You know, when you come across something, you're like, that would be nice. You're always like looking for new ideas and you're constantly thinking about students. That's how it is. For example, the sword project. I know you guys are into video games and there's a lot of swords in it. So that's one of the reasons why I chose it. And it's something that as a child you guys used to use it, you know, make crafts out of it, and then now it's becoming real, like a real piece of art.
In your opinion, what's something that a person needs to be good at art?
I think if a person is able to express himself or herself through intuition, that person will be good in art.
She always helps me to be more creative and think outside the box, and she helps me when I'm having difficulties during a project.
Miss Houry was a very interesting teacher. She always had interesting projects and was always ready to help us with everything.
So I've known Madame Houry for a couple of years now, and she was always super welcoming and always willing to help, so it made me feel super comfortable. When I had any questions, I would go and ask her and she would be ready to answer them.
Miss Houry was very nice. She taught me how to get all the art techniques, and overall she's a very nice teacher.
Volunteering is not only helpful for others, but it is helpful for you too, because you feel better about yourself knowing that you made someone's day a little happier. It could be a simple task like cleaning the tables. In short, volunteering is an easy way to lend a hand when someone needs it.
Thank you for watching SHTV.
We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Tune in next week, but first, let's leave you with our final thoughts on technology.
We are now going to interview a student from Secondary 1 on what they did during the weekend without technology.
So, what did you do at home without technology? The first thing that I did was make myself breakfast. Then I went on a walk and played with my dogs. After that, I did some homework and me and my family went to my grandma's house and ate there. The next day, I also ate breakfast, but a small one, and then tried to finish all of my homework. After that, I played with my dog again and drew. And I also spent some time with my family. And how did you feel without having no technology at home? Well, at first it was hard because usually I communicate with my friends and I couldn't do that. But it was also easy at the same time because I got to spend time with my family and my grandma, and it was fun.
That's it for today's episode of SHTV. Thank you for watching.